All right, welcome to SorWil Solutions, where we talk about what's going on in our community. Today, my special guest is Dr. Tyleen Caffrey, the founder of Monarch Formals in Leavenworth. Monarch Formals is a nonprofit helping people get formal wear for the big moments when the budget is tight.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? How did you get into this? I mean, what made you think of starting a nonprofit like that?
Yeah. Well, first, thanks for having me on. I
Mhm.
definitely appreciate that. So Monarch Formals, kind of the inception of came back. The grassroots was back when I was in grad school.
Okay.
And so we're talking a hot minute ago, like yesterday, right?
Sure. Like
And-
last week.
Yeah, last week, totally last week. So I was the president of our social work club in grad school, and I went to the University of Southern Mississippi,
Okay.
aka Brett Favre University.
Sure.
At college by convenience. And so we were stationed there. My husband's military. And so we were stationed
Okay.
there at the time. And as the president of our social work club, we were doing just small little projects, helping grandparents raising grandchildren,
Okay.
collecting school supplies, collecting turkeys for Thanksgiving. So fast forward, now it's the spring season. We're all in our practicum. And my classmates were, we need to help, do something that's going to take the whole semester because we can't do these little projects because we're all so busy.
Uh-huh.
So one of my classmates remembered a story that I'll share here in a minute and said, hey, what if we help other students like you in your situation? And so that was the idea. We were going to help 10 girls 10 girls in foster care go to prom. And it ended up blowing up to where we had over 500 dresses that were collected. We brought in $2,500 worth of donations. Instead of helping
Wow.
10 students in the Hattiesburg, Mississippi area, we were able to help over 100 students across the entire state and literally took the show on the road and served about 100 kids. Now, I don't do math very, very well because I'm a social worker.
Sure.
So we had 500 formals. We gave out 100. And so when we got orders to New Mexico, 400 dresses PCS'd right along with us. And so that's what started Monarch Formals. So I turned that project into a nonprofit and then eventually became a 501c3.
So your doctorate is in social
My doctorate's in social work.
work. Nice. And what made you decide to go down this road rather than the traditional social work avenue that most people go down?
In regard to
Starting their nonprofit? Because this is not all you do. You do other things. And I don't
Correct.
think any of them are really social work.
No, I
based.
actually am a social worker. I work for the VA.
Okay.
And so I am currently at the VA here in Leavenworth. And so
Okay.
I am a social worker providing assessments to veterans
Okay.
that are needing treatment. So that's my main job. I also do a lot of work with the NASW,
Okay.
which is the National Association of Social Workers. I also do research.
Okay.
So I'm currently writing a textbook.
I'm counting here so we can, because
Yes.
you do a lot.
Yes, I do. And then I was adjunct teaching as well.
Okay.
And I also am a radio DJ.
You are a radio personality.
So there's a few of the things I do. So obtaining my doctorate, actually, I was going to be teaching full time, which
Uh-huh.
also probably leads into another question you're going to ask is, how'd you get to Leavenworth?
Well, I assume that's going to have a military connection since you mentioned your husband was in the military.
Actually, no.
No.
He was
okay.
Air Force, not Army.
Okay.
So not that there is Air Force families here,
Mhm.
and there's an Air Force, a piece of Air Force in the military.
I kind of assumed
installation
you went
here.
to the school here.
Yeah, no, we are an Air Force family.
Okay.
So I am originally from KCK, and then I moved to Southwest Missouri.
From the dot?
I am a girl from the dot.
Okay.
I am from the heart of the dot. I'm from the part where your mama told you hit the floorboards when you drove through.
Gotcha. Okay.
So when I was in late junior high, we moved to Southwest Missouri. And then from there, I went to college at Pitt State down in Southeast Kansas at Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And I was going to school. I was going to be single, never married, no kids. That was my goal. I was going to be a social worker and just live my career. Till the Cupid said, how about this Air Force guy? So he was stationed at Whiteman at the time, Whiteman Air Force Base, which is just east of KC.
Mhm.
And so we got married, and now I traveled with him until he retired. He did almost 22 years in the Air Force.
Okay.
And we've been from Missouri to Mississippi to New Mexico, back to Whiteman, back to New Mexico. He went to Japan, back to New Mexico. I thought when you put your ruby red slippers on, you go home.
Uh-huh.
But no, we just kept ending up in New Mexico. But I was our last assignment, and when he retired, we went back to Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And so I went back to a job working child welfare, and I couldn't do it anymore. I've been doing child welfare for years and said I need to do something different. So I stepped my toe into higher education. Absolutely loved it. So I started seeking a job in higher education and started pursuing my PhD. Landed a job back in New Mexico. And so we returned to New Mexico for the third time. And from there, I started pursuing my PhD in social work so I can teach full time. And so I graduated in December 2022. And the goal is when I graduated, since I followed him in his military career for all those years, it was his turn to follow me.
Okay.
And I said, put your ruby red slippers on because this time we're clicking our heels and going home. So I applied for a job teaching here in Leavenworth and at St. Mary.
Okay.
And it got down to the last two candidates and they hired the other person.
Oh, no.
And we got here. It's obviously close to home. My friends, I still have brothers that live in KCK. And so we got here and my husband loved it. We loved the city. We loved, the town of Leavenworth, being close to the city. We're close to the airport. We still have a small town feel, but we're still close to the city. We're still, it checked all the boxes.
Sure.
And so we said, you know what, let's make Leavenworth home. And I said, if I can't get a job at St. Mary, I will find a job here. So that's, I started pursuing a different avenue. I worked for DOD before. And so I figured a VA option would, either DOD or VA would work. And I found a job at the VA. So I am doing that full time and using my doctorate's degree and doing that as well.
Awesome. But through this whole time, Monarch Formals has followed you.
Monarch Formals has followed every PCS. So
wow. So you had to start up almost for every time you go somewhere new.
Every time
it's like
we went
starting over.
New. Yes. Now we've always kept when we moved our nonprofit. Well, when we created the nonprofit in New Mexico, that program has always stayed in New Mexico. And then we would take a piece of that. I mean, again, 500 dresses, and we continuously grow. We took some of the dresses and we started. So when I moved to Blue Springs, when I went to Kansas City, I started kind of a small out of my garage. Then when we moved to Pittsburgh, Kansas, I started a shop there in Pittsburgh. And then back to New Mexico, we hauled them all back to New Mexico. And then when we came here, it was, okay, how are we going to sustain? So I've been here a little over 2 years. So the first year I went back to New Mexico about 7 times, maybe 8 times, a lot. And I think financially, it just made more sense to move the entire program here than to try to have both and split my time in both. And so we decided to look for a full-time space and move it and reestablish here as a full-time project.
Now, it's not just dresses for prom, is it? I mean,
right.
That's what a lot of people ask me. Well, I don't need a dress for prom.
Right.
But you do a lot more. You serve a lot more. And so I go back to, we first met when you presented at Rotary, and I thought, wow, this is an amazing idea because it fits so many different things within our community and so many opportunities that people might not have. So tell us a little more. It's more than dresses.
Oh yeah. Monarch Formals is more than a dress. That's kind of our little tagline. So initially, if we go back to the project, the idea was to help 10 girls in prom, to go to prom.
Yep.
And from that, the dresses came in, they poured in, and then more styles of dresses. So we started getting bridesmaids dresses and homecoming dresses, and then suits and tuxes. And once we established the 501c3, I started changing that idea from we need to help those in need. And really, we look at the word need. What is need? I don't need to go buy a dress that I'm going to wear one time. And so we really started shifting that to more of an eco-friendly fashion and sustain that throughout the whole year. So we started collecting more little girls' clothes, little boys' clothes, Easter, Christmas, quinceanera dresses. So now we have blossomed from 400 dresses to over 5,000 formals in our inventory.
Wow.
Of everything from men's to kids to every single formal event or even semi-formal event. You're going on a date, you want a nice little, black dress to go to the city. You're going to Kaufman to a concert. You're going to USM to go see a concert. You got a student going to a senior recital that's a musician. You got students that are going to their sports banquets that want a nice, cocktail dress. So we've evolved. It is still semi-formal or formal. I say anything more than a church dress, but it is everything from suits to tuxes. And we really think about, we'll start with the guys because I see 2 guys in the room.
Sure.
So there's usually two events that you're going to wear a suit to. What are those 2 events?
Probably an interview. A job interview.
A job interview.
Yeah.
Okay. Or
wedding.
wedding.
A wedding. Okay.
Or
A funeral?
A funeral. Yes. And those are the two items. Weddings and funerals are usually the two items where men will mostly need a suit. And the reality is, if you're not a business person who normally wears suits, you're not working in a bank, you're not working in an office, how many people carry a suit? And you're only going to wear it once. And the reality is, let's just get real, Joe, we're roughly the same age. The suit that you had 10 years ago that you wore to the last wedding
Doesn't fit quite as well.
doesn't fit. Right. So are you going to go spend the money to go purchase a new suit that you probably, once again, will only wear for the next 10 years? And then you're going to have the same suit over and over. And that's a fashion faux pas, FYI. So the idea is that we can continue to sustain and have the attire that you don't have to go spend the money, and you can just come in and make a donation to borrow it. So our program sustains by donations. And so I think the question is, how does the program work?
That's where I was getting ready to ask.
So first thing first, you make an appointment. I am the only person who receives all those calls, all those texts. So you make an appointment for your upcoming event. We get an idea of what you're looking for, what type of event, and then we bring you in. We do a very one-on-one. Kind of the idea is, one, is we want that one-on-one opportunity. One, because we do work with a lot of students who are coming from poverty, coming from marginalized situations. But the reality is, formal wear shopping is hard. I've got, moms who are maybe postpartum, that now they have, husband, you use military, now they have a military ball, but they're just a few months post baby and they're not in the same body that they were pre-baby. And, it's challenging because dress designers don't make clothes the same size.
That's
Guys can go, I wear a size 36-30 and that's the size you wear. Women's clothes can go from a woman that typically wears, let's say, a size 8. She can wear anything from a size 4 to a size 16. And so there's no standardized sizes in the US. And so it's challenging. So when we can go in, or when I can go in and with this individual and really help them navigate that, finding the right dress, finding the right suit, finding what fits, what looks good, what feels good, then we can make it an experience. So it's not just going to a department store where you're by yourself and you're trying to navigate this by yourself. If you've ever bought a suit from, let's say, a tailored store, there's a different experience than just going to your local department store and getting a suit. So that's kind of what we encompass, is really just making it a body positive experience. But then when it's all said and done, the way it works, you make a monetary donation to borrow it of any amount. We don't ask for financials, not our business. Everybody's situation is different based on, even those who can't afford. Maybe you come from a middle-class family, but things are hard right now. Economy is hard. Maybe somebody in the family is struggling. Maybe dad just lost his job. Maybe mom just got diagnosed with cancer. You're in a different situation than you were 2 years ago. But whatever you can afford, that money goes all back into our organization. We're 100% volunteer ran. And then we can continue to sustain that program based on those donations so we can continue to help others. And those who can afford, but just don't want to go spend the money on something else, then they can give a little bit more. So it equally balances out at the end.
So somebody keeps this for a week, they bring it back, they drop it off.
Yep. So you get to keep it. You take it the day you check it out, and then you bring it back a week after your event.
Wow. That is amazing. I think most people get hung up on, this is really a program for people who are financially challenged, but it's not.
It's not. No, and that kind of leads into the piece where I said eco-friendly fashion. A lot of individuals don't realize the fashion industry right now is the second largest pollution to our country, to our world, really. The current amount of waste is around 92 tons of waste.
Oh, wow.
Which basically equals every single second a garbage truck full of material is either being thrown into a landfill or thrown into to burn, which then now produces pollution in the air.
Air pollution, yeah.
So when you think about the fashion industry, that part in itself, we want things fast. We want it now. We want what everybody else has, whatever is, you see someone on TV. So they're mass producing things. On top of that, they're making clothes, cheaper fabrics, mostly synthetic fabrics. So it doesn't, it's not biodegradable like it used to be, or really not at all. A lot of that goes into the ocean. And so it's polluting the ocean as well. So there's a lot of, when we think about the eco-friendly fashion, is that how do we help become environmental friendly? And think about how many times you've had a shirt and it has a hole. What do you do with it?
Throw it away.
Throw it away. And so when we can take those items, because the reality fashion returns. I mean, when we were in school and mom said, you got to wear those bell-bottom Brady Bunch trousers, you're like, never again. And then what did we do in the 90s? We wore bell-bottoms again. Right? Currently right now, the fashion is like circa 2012. And so the girls' prom dresses right now, I'm like, yeah, they wore those in 2012, so we're kind of recycling back. And the fashion really has changed over the years. I mean, you see someone that's in something retro, you're like, oh, that looks really cute and hip. The fashion recycles. It's not probably what it was even 20 years ago, where it was the latest and greatest, because people kind of have their own sense of fashion. And so coming from that eco-friendly perspective is that when we can take a formal that probably has been worn at pick any event for a few hours and then sits in a closet, that we can recycle that. We can make repairs. We can change and take it to a seamstress. And really that leads me to another conversation is that's kind of a lost art. There's not as many seamstress.
No, not at all.
And so it makes it difficult. So when we can kind of pull those and look how we can recreate, secondhand shopping is the cool thing to do. And I don't know what the new term for the kids right now is, because I'm still using cool, but I'm sure there's like, a fun word to use that the kids use these days. But it's, kids like to go to secondhand stores now, and they like to find retro items that they can, vintage items that they can. Yeah, vintage. When they're wearing something that's 1993 and says it's vintage, I kind of,
shudder.
Yeah. So we have to think about that perspective. So that's the shift from, while we want to help those students that are in poverty and marginalized and oppressed, we also want to know and help anybody, because we're being eco-friendly by recycling fashion.
So part of that is when they bring them back, you guys take them to the cleaners, or you guys afford that cost on top of everything else?
So a couple things. When someone borrows an item, what we suggest is they dry clean it before they wear it.
Okay.
And that way, and they don't have to dry clean it when they bring it back. And we do that. Now with suits, it's a little different, but let's say I have a girl at number A, she borrows a dress. She is going to dry clean it before she wears it. Then she wears it, then she dry cleans it again before she brings it back. Now it's been dry cleaned twice, only worn once. Girl C now, or B, I don't even know my alphabet. Girl B comes in, she's going to borrow it. Well, it's been tried on, she's going to dry clean it again. Now it's been dry cleaned 3 times and still only worn once. And when you start getting beads and sequins and rhinestones and all that, it's just way too hard on the dresses. So what we suggest is, if you want to dry clean it before you wear it, by all means, and usually I can tell them if it's been worn recently, it may be a new dress. It's never been worn.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we get a lot of our dresses are brand new with tags. And so they don't have to dry clean that before they wear it, but they can, but they don't have to dry clean it to return it unless something happens. You drag it through the mud, you spill a glass of wine on it, you're dry cleaning it. And so we ask them. When we do have students who can't afford, we can work, and that's where we can use our donations and our sponsorships and our grants. That way we can utilize that money and say, hey, we can cover that for you. And that's where those extra funds can come from and use for.
What's the most challenging part of running a nonprofit like this?
I mean, obviously funding, as always. I mean, a lot of people will say something to the extent of, why don't you just run this out of a storage unit? Well, I don't know about you. I don't know that I would want to try on a suit in the middle of a storage unit.
Yeah.
That makes it a little challenging. We want students and individuals to have that same quote unquote boutique experience that they would if they were going to somewhere else to purchase a dress. But this time being a little bit more cost efficient.
Yeah.
And so the up cost of having, I don't get paid. My volunteers don't get paid. So where's the money go? Well, buildings aren't free.
That's right.
And so rent, utilities is literally all we cover. I mean, there's some marketing pieces, dry cleaning, some repairs. We've been very fortunate to partner with a local seamstress that's literally 3 buildings away, Creative Connotations. And so Whitney her name is Whitney Pierce. She has been great about taking Some of our items that have been damaged and repairing those, her and her daughter have been great. Just, fixing some beading, fixing a few hems, fixing straps that may have been broken. So we have that, but a person can go in and work with them to, if you had a suit, you needed the pants hemmed, you can go in, make the small, pay her just like you would a regular seamstress. And so that's been a great partnership as well. So funding is always the biggest, anytime you have any kind of nonprofit. And right now, and I would say, especially being new here, is volunteers. While I have a cape and I think I'm Wonder Woman on most days, I mean, have you ever seen me and Wonder Woman in the same room?
No, we haven't.
So while I know that I can do a lot, I can't do everything. And so I'm already getting to the point where we actually just celebrated our 1 year, if you can believe that.
Congratulations.
So the hardest part is I don't ever want to turn someone down because I can't do it all. I mean, I know the Beatles said there's 8 days a week, but there's not. I don't know how that happens. So I'm at the point where we're booked out about 2 weeks in advance now.
Oh, wow.
And so when someone's calling me at that last minute, like, for example, the winter formal is this Friday for Leavenworth High School. So if the students are calling me today to get a formal for Friday, it's probably not going to happen because I don't have the appointment. I don't have the ability. Now, the more volunteers I can get, then we can schedule more appointments. And that's going to be obviously any way to sustain a program. And more specifically, a nonprofit is to have the volunteers.
How many volunteers do you guys have?
Well, we are doing training right now. And so my hope is for the prom season, for our prom extravaganzas, we will probably be setting at about 7 or 8 solid volunteers. Now, hopefully some of those will stay with us, not, past the duration of prom season. But I think it's just this. It's getting the word out, letting people know this is what we do, who we are. And the more people see what we're doing for the community, they're going to want to be a part of that. And I think that's with any kind of nonprofit. When you mentioned the Rotary, that's, part of the Rotary. You want people to be a part of the Rotary. How do you do it? You got to get the word out. People need to know what the Rotary is about. The fortunate part that you have is the Rotary is a national organization and people are familiar. The challenge that I have is Monarch Formals is me, myself, and I, and it's a one small nonprofit. And so it makes it a bigger challenge to say, not only is this here, but this is why it's important to our community. We're helping students. We're helping individuals. We're helping the military spouses that come from, we have a lot of international spouses. How many international spouses are packing a formal for their military ball? Not very many.
That's right.
And so we have to, thinking about our community and how do we support the community, people think it's just a dress. But what does that dress do? What does that formal do? That formal means inclusion. That formal means that a student is going to be able to attend their homecoming or winter formal or JROTC ball or prom and be included. And I don't know if you've ever think about a time in your life, anytime, high school, or even now, that you wanted to do something and you couldn't because of funding.
Yeah.
You wanted to go to that Royals game. Well, the tickets, when we were a kid, we could go for $10, $12.
That's right.
Chalking up about $70 for a cheap seat ticket these days is challenging.
Yeah.
And then you feel left out, right? It's, you get a group of buddies that like, hey, we're going to go do this. Well, if I have to make a difference between my car payment and paying the utilities or going to a ball game, it can make a difference. But now take that and step it back to high school days when you didn't get to go to the ball game, when you didn't get to go to a prom, when you didn't get to go to the events that your classmates do. That's being excluded. And there's nothing worse for a high school student to feel not included in something, included. So when we can provide something as simple as a formal to help students feel that they're a part of something, it's not just community engagement, it's helping build positive experiences for these students' lives. But that is for anybody. I mean, if I wanted to go to the Rotary Ball, I don't know if you guys have a Rotary Ball.
There's no Rotary Ball.
Well, let's just pretend there is. If the Chamber Gala.
Okay.
You want to go to the Chamber Gala.
That's right.
Does that make a difference if, I have a high school student that I need to buy my daughter's dress for prom, or I'm going to go to the Chamber Gala?
Yeah.
How do you balance the funding for your family to say, I want to take my wife to the Chamber Ball, but my daughter needs to go to prom? We can eliminate that biggest cost, which is the formal. It's something as simple as a formal that we can help create memories.
Wow.
And that's what we want to do, is create those memories. I know what it's like. And I started by saying I'll retract on my story. Because that's the question that people say, why? Why did you do this? So backtracking, when I was in high school, I actually went into foster care just 2 weeks before my junior prom. So you're my new foster parents. I just moved into your home. Oh, and would you like to send me to prom?
Oh, wow.
Well, I'll give you a guess. Give me a guesstimate. What do you think the average cost to go to prom these days is?
Well, I know when my daughter was in school, which was a few years ago, it was pretty expensive, over $200 or $300
Was that just for the dress?
just for the dress.
And then?
Then you've got the shoes, all the to-dos with it. I think she had to get a suntan every time she went. So there was a lot of extra costs around it.
Shoes, makeup, nails, hair, corsages, the dress, the tux, and you have to pay for prom tickets. The average cost to go to prom, and we're talking basic costs. We're not talking the limousine. We're not talking about pre-prom dinner. We're looking at anywhere between minimum $1,200 to $1,500.
Oh, wow.
Closer to $2,500 if the students go out. And we're not even talking about a promposal, which that is not a thing that was in our day.
No.
But there's another additional expense. So you can look at between $2,000 and $3,000 easy. The prom tickets in our day may have been $20, $30. Those prom tickets now are setting at around $50 to $75, depending on the school.
Wow.
So what's the most expensive part? Is the dress, right? Think about even the wedding. What's the most expensive part about a wedding? It's the dress. And so again, when we look at it from a cost perspective, if we can eliminate the largest cost, which is the formal, then we can help a family. We can help that student. We can help, again, anybody that wants to attend a formal event in confidence and style, then we can help with that.
It's so much better than somebody just going to the vintage store and picking something out, or
well, it's the experience,
yeah,
right? Because they get me, and that's part of that.
That's a lot, I'm sure.
I went into foster care 2 weeks before my junior prom, and I had an advantage, probably the biggest advantage of any student going into foster care. My foster mom was a seamstress.
Oh, wow!
And she made my dresses. So if you are driving by 5th and Delaware and you are looking at the Monarch Formal shop, which used to be the old Santa Fe Bike Trails shop, then you will see in the window currently both of the dresses that my foster mom made for my prom. And so I was very fortunate. Without that, I don't know that I would have. I don't know that I would have had that experience. I don't know that I would have had that memory. And so again, it goes back to creating inclusion for students, because there's nothing worse than feeling left out. And so that's what we want to instill. That's what the goal and our motto and our mission is, to help students to be able to attend those events. But now we can, as you mentioned, move past just the students. We can help anybody attend those events and be eco-fashion friendly at the same time.
As a foster student like you were, did you struggled with inclusion? Did you move around a lot?
Oh, absolutely. I went to a really, really tiny school. So we mentioned I was from KCK.
That's right.
So my junior high school, for those who are listening and from the area in Kansas area, I went to Rosedale Middle School, which is over by KU Med Center. So that was my middle school. So we're talking 2,000-3,000 students in the school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. My entire town I moved to was less than 794 people.
Wow.
So I, and not to, give a long history, but basically when I moved to this town, my mom was dating a gentleman who, let me rephrase, my mom was dating a man who lived in the back of his grandfather's home in a literal chicken shack where we had 2 rooms, dirt floors. My brothers and I slept on one mattress and had cardboard boxes for dressers.
Oh, wow.
So when I say poverty, there's poverty and there's extreme poverty. And I lived in extreme poverty. I remember the days of I always took PE first period so I could take a shower. And it was always hard because when my classmates, and I know you probably know this world, when parachute pants was really cool, we all wanted a pair. Yeah, I was never getting a pair of parachute pants. When Michael Jackson came out with his Thriller jacket, we all wanted it. I didn't get that, right? So when we look at what are the things we want, and I know I'm aging ourselves here, but I just said Michael Jackson, Thriller, and Parachute Pants all in one sentence.
Yeah.
However, when we look at what are the needs and what we want, I wanted to play basketball. I wanted to play volleyball. I wanted to play, I wanted to be in cheer. I wanted to be in band. But that meant I either had to work harder for myself and get those things, or those things wouldn't have had happen. I wouldn't have been in those. And so if it wasn't for the support of a few individuals who helped along the way, if it wasn't for foster care saving me, I don't know that I would have been able to do a lot of those things. And I think part of that was resilience and responsibility, that I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be better than what the situation I have right now. And I'm going to challenge myself to do more for myself. And I was able to play basketball, and I was able to play volleyball, and I was able to play do all the things, softball. But that also meant I didn't have a glove, and I had to borrow it from the school. That meant I was in the band, but I didn't have my own instrument. That meant that when other students may be getting music lessons and paying for those, and piano lessons, I didn't get those. It meant that, I still had the basketball shoes my senior year that I had my freshman year, because I didn't get new basketball shoes. So I was able to be included, but not always feel included. I always had to strive a little extra. So that meant I was included, but I wasn't one of them.
Sure.
Not one of you. I
I
never
wasn't one of them either.
Yeah, I never fit quite in. And of course, I was the kid from out of town. Who are you to come into our little tiny school of, 180 students, K through 12, and who are you, and, my living conditions and my situation. So I know what it feels like to not fit in. And if I didn't get to go to prom or homecoming and those things as well, it's an additional, right? Every time that someone does something to you and you feel excluded, right? Let's talk about self-esteem with kids. Let's talk about suicide rates for children.
Sure.
It all adds up. And not to say that a prom dress equals suicide rates, but a prom dress does equal the difference of a kid going to a formal event to feel included.
So I asked my wife this. She grew up in St. Joe. She grew up very poor as well. And I often say she's adopted because she didn't follow the same path much of her family did. You as well, coming from very poor, I mean, you could have easily become a statistic, and yet something within you brought you out of that, started this, and brought you to a doctorate. What is it within you, do you think, that really pushed you?
I think we talk a lot about resiliency. And I think when people look at, just the terminology of resiliency, it's like, rubber band, you bounce back. You have a death in the family, you can get through it. You have a car accident, you can get through it. What does real resiliency look like? It's not about just getting through it. It's not about just it happening to you and you move on. How do you build? How does your character build from those experiences in your life? When you've been hit with softballs your entire life, you're either going to start catching them or you're going to get banged up pretty bad. And if you're a softball player, I played third base. So I got banged up pretty bad, right? I learned how to squat and catch. And I think that's what resilience means to me, is that you bring it. I was a bring it on. Every time my mom told me I couldn't do something, watch me. You're not going to amount to it, watch me. You're not going to make anything of your life, watch me. And I think that internal resilience to say, no matter what comes at me, right? My whole childhood was drugs, alcohol, abuse, poverty, living on, I say living on the streets. I was very thankful I had friends to go crash at their, couch crash. And that's when I was little, very young. I saw a lot at a very young age that I shouldn't have. I knew that's not the life I wanted to live. And that resilience was, how am I going to do more for myself? How am I going to challenge myself? And it always, and I like softball. I actually grew up pretty much at the Royals at Kauffman Stadium, playing catch with George Brett. I just aged myself again. But it was about catching those softballs. And every time that I did something, that was my softball catch. Every time that I gotten, on the basketball team and made that shot, that was a basketball catch. When I got a scholarship, that was a basketball or a softball catch. When I got an award for playing in band, that was another softball catch. And I think that resilience of not just bouncing back, it's about overcoming, is really what pushed me to do all the things I did. Because it's not just a doctorate's in social work. I have a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD in social work.
Sure.
I also have a bachelor's in music, and I have a nonprofit certification.
Wow.
And so it was a watch me, I'm going to do this because you all told me I couldn't. And it's not just resilience, it's overcoming and challenging and being successful.
And I would say that's unique to you. How do we bottle that up and help somebody who maybe doesn't have that resilience like you? How do you think? Sorry.
Yep.
How do you think? How do you convey that message to somebody else who might be struggling like that?
I think challenges, anytime we have challenges, and this isn't about the kid in poverty or the student who comes from a marginalized situation. I think we all, as a society, we all face challenges. We all face situations that are out of our control. And it's a matter of how do we overcome those challenges? What do we or who do we look to and look towards being able to overcome those? We find, and again, I don't care if you're the richest person in Leavenworth County or you are struggling and in poverty. Our society places lots of barriers and lots of challenges for us. And I think as individuals, we have to make or break. How do we do that? And it's continuously finding those support systems. We find ourselves isolated. When things get hard, what do? I'm going to go to my room. I'm going to stay away. If it's too challenging, I'm not going to go out and do those things. We find ourselves more isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, flip that script of what can I do for others? What can I do for myself? Go out and challenge yourself a little bit more. And I think when we can encourage others to overcome those challenges and not let them become barriers to life, then we can help. And I know it sounds silly to say, well, a formal dress can do that. It does. There's something about a student, a woman, a man, a young boy who comes in, maybe not the little boys, but, a teenage boy who may not, again, get to go to that formal event. It's about inclusion, but it also means I've overcome something. I'm here at this formal event with my friends, my family, my coworkers, my colleagues, and I'm overcoming a challenge. We all face internal challenges, whatever. It could be grief, it could be loss, it could be you're struggling with a job, you're making changes, there's so many challenges in life. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul and not telling people and living off credit cards. I mean, there's people that make money and look on the outside like they have a lot. There's something internal. A lot of people do are challenged, marital problems. There's a lot of things. How can we overcome that? It's one step at a time, but it's overcoming by challenging yourself to do something more. And I think just attending those special events and not isolating and backing from those because you have to make a determination between going to something like that or not. It's just one more way we can help people get re-engaged in the community.
It's amazing. And I think your story is amazing. And I wish we could bottle that resiliency up and just give it to kids these days, because I feel like I've run into so many kids that just they lack that resiliency. They see obstacles and they shy away from them for fear of failure or whatever.
Right.
You said that we've just come up on your 1 year. How many people have you served in the community over the past year? Do you have any idea?
Roughly. I mean, we haven't done all of our, tax season still. I got a couple more months, right?
Sure.
So, but you figure we moved in, and for those who aren't too familiar, so we took a 30-year-old bike shop. I think the Santa Fe Bike Trails was around for approximately
For quite a while.
28 to 30 years. 28, I think, is what the number someone told me. So it took a dirty, greasy old bike shop that probably hadn't had a floor mopped in a hot minute and trying to turn it into a boutique. That was obviously a challenge. So the first couple months was just cleaning, scrubbing, painting, and we're still doing a lot of that. So really we kicked off with prom season / JROTC ball last year. And through, so we would have had JROTC ball, we would have had prom, Spire Fest, military ball, interfaith gala, then summer events, then boom, right back into homecoming, winter formal, which is now Patton Junior High dance / holiday parties, and your few cruises and galas and events throughout. We we're a little over 120 formals that went out this year.
Oh, wow.
And really at about 10 months, 9, 10 months, that we really were doing that. Because the first 4 or 5 months, we were still unpacking. I mean, we really just focused on prom for the most part for those first few months. So we're a little over, I think we were somewhere around 127 before the Patton Junior High dance. And I think 12 dresses went out for Patton.
Oh, wow.
And I want to say we've received close to 400 formals in donations already.
Wow. What's the age range of the people who come in?
I've had everyone from the 2-year-old that went to a pageant to the grandma who was the grandma of the bride,
Wow.
or the senior prom that one of the Elks Lodges had. So I'm not going to age her, but I'd say somewhere a retired age.
Wow. Well seasoned.
Seasoned aged. So yeah, from 2 to 82. That's kind of what we've served so far.
What's the most challenging piece of trying to get somebody fit into something?
Mhm. And the biggest challenge is we have what we have. With everything that we have is donated. I mean, like I said, we do have gently used and new formals, but I only have one. So if you like that one suit, that's it. I don't have that suit in multiple sizes and multiple styles. It's that one suit. So sometimes I think the challenge is, especially for teenage girls, they come in and they have their mindset on, they've been looking through I say magazines, but looking through their phone. They have the idea of this particular dress that they want. And then they come in and we don't have that particular style. And so while we do have some new items, new items from the inventory, it's usually probably like last year's prom season. We don't normally have the newest of things. And we slowly get some of those donations in, but that's probably the biggest challenge is having students get what they want. So we have to really, it's a challenge to say, be open-minded and let's see what we can find. So not having the right sizes in that style. We do have everything from 00 to 32. So, I mean, we do have, smaller sizes and large sizes. But secondary, I think, is just, again, about body positivity is the challenge of helping individuals. And I say, especially females, is to make them feel confident.
Mhm.
Too often individuals come in, not just with the right set of mind of, it's kind of like I want the blonde hair, blue eyed baby. Well, that ain't always what's going to happen, sweetie. So I think they have that idea. And so it's challenging to really help them feel beautiful and because it's not really, at the end of the day, it's not really about the dress. Sometimes it's about how they feel. I just had a young lady come in the other day and she was by herself. No mom, no grandma, no auntie, no dad, nobody that came in with her. And after a few dresses, it started getting challenging. And it wasn't because she looked gorgeous in every dress she tried on. I mean, absolutely drop dead gorgeous in every dress she tried on. But the problem is she was there by herself and nobody there to, keep her encouraged. So that's part of what my volunteers do is just really kind of continue to encourage and make her feel, like $1 million because she is. And that becomes challenging because if you don't have the right skill set to encourage these young ladies, and she finally walked out and she, are you happy? You can always come back. And she's like, no, I'm happy. But on the flip side of that, it was, internal sadness that somebody wasn't there to help her. And, we even said, do you have a friend that you can call? I don't have any friends. And
Wow.
those are the same things. And I get that with especially my military spouses. They don't have mom or grandma or, their friend might be their fellow Army spouse, but not, a lot of times they're FaceTiming like a friend back wherever they're from. And so that becomes challenging. And again, it takes the right skill set for our volunteers to continue encouraging. The guys are a little easier, I would say, on most of the, occasions. But there is, I've had gentlemen, I had a dad one time come for his father-daughter dance. He never put on a suit in his entire life. He's like, I didn't get married in a suit. I've never been to a funeral in a suit. I went in jeans and a t-shirt. Like, it's the first time his daughter wanted him to wear a suit and he was determined to wear a suit. And we tried on several suits to get him into something he wanted. And he came back and he said, thank you. Thank you for that. That's a memory I'll take forever is being able to be dressed up for my daughter. That's what she wanted. And I would say his daughter was probably 11, 12, 13, maybe at the most. And he just said, I would have showed up in jeans and a t-shirt or, a polo or something. And
Wow.
he said, walking in there with the other dads in suits and tuxes, we felt included.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't have had this experience if it wasn't for you.
You said you guys get brand new donations. I was thinking when you got donations, it's like people are cleaning out their closet and they're dropping stuff off. But you get stuff that are still tags on.
Still tags, a lot of tags. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So another fun fact about me, Joe, I do a lot of pageantry work. So
is there anything you don't do?
I don't do math well.
Okay.
So I work, so I have about 4 or 5 national titles under my belt. I do a lot of judging, choreography, MCing work, obviously a lot. And every time I go to a pageant, and when I say every time, 9 out of 10 times, usually the pageant system will do a dress collection. A lot of my pageant sisters across the country and around the world, they have dress shops or they have a friend that owns a dress shop. And so usually what'll happen is at the end of the season, so let's say last prom, they're cleaning up prom, they got them on the sell rack. Now this is the last little bit, maybe from their trunk shows or what the designers send, like, here, we want you to, think about it like a tool. Like you got Black & Decker and they're like, all right, Walmart, we want you to sell this drill and this saw and this whatever. So whatever's left after that, that's what they'll ship me. So sometimes they'll just clean out what's last in their inventory and they'll send it. So brand news, with tags. Again, probably what was left on their clearance rack, their trunk sale items. Some of the bigger pageant stores, some of the top designer pageant stores will have items that are very specific for like your Miss America, your Miss USA. So those are items that the store has secluded out so they can use them for promos for those pageant systems. And so when it's all said and done, they ship those to me as well. So I have friends in Georgia, Mississippi, Oregon, Washington State, New York / Maryland, and they ship me dresses all the time. So brand new with tags. And then a lot of people, I just had a donation yesterday. There was 5 dresses and 2 of them were tags. They said, I bought it, never wore it. You can have it. I can't take it back. And the reality is with most dress, like if you go to a boutique, an actual, like a department store, like a Macy's or Dillard's, but if you go to a dress shop, Davis Bridal, for example, once that dress walks out the store, you can't return it. And especially if it's been altered by the store, you can't return it. So, and I say sadly, but oftentimes when people say, where do you get all these wedding dresses brand new with tags? That often means that someone didn't get married and has the dress. Man. So I've had brand new, beautiful gowns, brand new, never been worn other than for alterations, but they can't return it to the stores.
How many wedding dresses has gone out of your store?
Ooh, over the years? I mean, I've been doing this for 19 years. I probably would say I've sent 2 to 3 dozen people to a wedding in a wedding dress. Obviously several bridesmaids and flower girls. But yeah, we've had several wedding dresses that go out, individuals who, and for different types. I mean, sometimes it's, they have their wedding dress that they're using for their actual wedding, but now they're taking their photos, or they're going to do a secondary like beach wedding, like a separate service, especially with military families. A lot of times, and this actually happened to me, where we had our wedding planned. It was the church's book, the pastor's book, the reception hall's book, the cake, the food, everything. And my husband got military orders and we moved 6 months before our wedding. And I didn't want to move ahead and not have, I married for TRICARE, right? I didn't want to move ahead and not have those things. And so we had just with our same priest, just my grandmother, just my maid of honor, it was 3 or 4 of us. And we had our marriage, and then we went back and had our wedding. It's like, oh, surprise, we've been married for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And so sometimes military spouses will do that. So they'll come in just for not their big wedding dress, but just for like they're going to the courthouse or they're going to their church and having a small wedding or backyard barbecue with their family and friends. But then they go and wear their big dress for their big wedding. And so I get a lot of spouses who do that. Or they don't want to show their actual dress. So they'll take photos in a mock dress, which will be mine. But then in addition to that, even things like plays, the theater, if the community theater wanted to come and borrow, we have a lot of vintage items or the high school plays. So we use those. I'm working with Leavenworth Cruisers to maybe do like a rockabilly type with some of our 50s, 60s dresses for funsies. So lots of items that are maybe not traditional to what you said, prom and homecoming.
So we're going to shift into our second
Okay.
version here. But before we do that, why don't you just tell everybody how can they get a hold of you? How can they donate? How can they support you?
Yeah. So monarchformals.org, Monarch, just like the butterfly. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the things. And of course, my number is on there, but 913-392-0651. And everything's on our website as well. So you can message. And if you are ready for prom season will start on February 14th. And we will start with prom extravaganzas. We have 8 of them scheduled at our shop. And we also have a mobile unit with another 200 plus dresses in our mobile unit that we didn't even touch on. So
let's talk a little bit about the mobile unit real quick.
Monarch Formals on the move. So the idea, and you had asked earlier about, looking ahead a little bit. But we do have a mobile unit. And so we can take those out to rural schools that are a little bit further away. And so it's a 16-foot trailer that's all decked out, and we have racks and even a little dressing room in there. And we can take them out to the schools or areas that are a little bit more rural that kids can't come into town. And so that's an option for us for future events.
That's amazing. I think it's just awesome that there's an opportunity for kids who may not have that opportunity to wear something special to be able to find it. I'm sure you see a lot more women than you do men, though, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we do get a handful. We do get a handful of men. I mean, again, weddings and funerals, but galas, father-daughter dances, especially anybody who's in community or civic engagement organizations like the Rotary and the Lions Club and Kiwanis that are having their formal events, or especially those like annual events where they do the annual events. Those are pretty popular as well.
So we're going to get into rapid fire questions with Tyleen.
Okay.
So first one, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Why?
It's hot. I like hot tea too. So
morning person or night owl?
Oh, that's not even a question. I am a night owl all the way.
Favorite comfort food?
Chicken fried steak.
Okay.
Taters.
Best book you've read in the last year?
I don't read.
Okay. Last movie you splurged on Netflix?
On Netflix. Movie?
Mm-hmm.
Or
show or series or whatever.
Actually, I just watched Maid. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's actually a very social working kind of show.
Okay.
But only because I was sick last week. So
okay. Most played song on your playlist?
Oh, well, as a musician, that's a really tough one. But my favorite band, which is probably my go-to right now, is The Struts.
Okay.
Heard of them? I'm going to turn you into a strutter show.
No. I was talking to my brother this morning, and his daughter's going to a Ghost concert.
Ghost? Mm-hmm.
Never heard of him.
Well, yeah.
Until this morning.
Ghost and Struts on your The Struts.
Okay. I gotta listen to this.
It's a British band out of England, obviously, and kind of a very Queen-like. But if Freddie Mercury and Joan Jett had a love child, it would be Luke Spiller, who's the lead singer.
Okay.
So kind of a glam rock. Kind of feels like if you like your David Bowie, Queen type music, but modern.
Okay. One habit you swear by that actually helps?
Oh, do I have to actually do it, or so?
I would think you would do it
because I say more sleep, but I don't get enough. I always tell people sleep more, but maybe because I don't get enough sleep.
Okay.
I don't have a habit.
None?
No, I don't. I'm pretty spontaneous sometimes, so I like to get
I've noticed
sleep.
that about you. One thing you wish you were instantly better at?
Relaxing.
Okay. That's fair.
I'm go. I wish I could just stop, collaborate, and listen.
Vanilla Ice reference.
He just aged himself.
Yeah. Best piece of advice you've received?
One day at a time.
Okay.
Take it one day at a time.
Texting or phone calls?
Texting. Remember the night owl part? Yeah, otherwise you'll be getting a call at 2:00 in the morning when I have a brain idea. Oh.
Plan things out or wing it?
Actually, I'm a 50-50 on that. You would think I'm really spontaneous and I wing it. So when it comes to things that are important, I'm a planner. I even have I have a calendar, paper planner. I'm a paper planner person. When it comes to the fun, I'm let's just go do it.
Okay.
But it has to be on a day I planned that we're going to go have fun. I just don't know what that fun always is. A Struts concert.
If Monarch Formals had a mascot, what would it be?
I mean, butterfly would actually make sense.
Just
right?
a butterfly?
No,
though?
monarch.
I mean, it seems like
A monarch butterfly.
okay. What would the name of the monarch butterfly be?
Ooh, diva.
Diva. Okay. All right.
This is rapid fire.
I know, right? If you had a billboard in Leavenworth for 1 week, what would it say?
Ty. It's all about Ty.
Most embarrassing moment you can safely share.
Don't get embarrassed. Oh gosh. Okay. It was embarrassing, but it's actually kind of funny. So, little fun fact: I have a little bit of a I call it semi-dyslexia. I flip-flop letters. They're called spoonerisms. It's what Dr. Seuss does.
Okay.
And I was introducing a lady at a conference with like 5,000 people, and her name was Carmen Schultz, but I said Charmin Colts. I had to think about that in front of all these people. It was kind of embarrassing, but then I gave her a hug and said, I just wanted to squeeze the Charmin, and then I said her name right.
All right. Final thing.
Okay.
Let's hear something in your DJ voice.
Ooh, like radio, like
radio
any-
voice. Anything. What is your go-to signature moment if somebody had their eyes closed, thought they were listening to the radio, they go, that's her.
I always say that's it. My boss told me that. I mean, my radio is like my normal is like, hey, everybody, it's Ty Caffrey on 96.9 The Pulse. You can listen to me any day, every day on 96.9 The Pulse-KOZA. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or we have an app for that. You can download our app or listen to us on mscnews.net. The end.
I'm impressed. I am impressed. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks,
It's
Joe.
been a lot of fun. You are incredible. The work you're doing is incredible. It's so awesome for our community. What I will tell you is the same thing I think I tell most of our nonprofits. I don't see you much on the socials. I don't see much about you. So it's hard for people in this community to know about you. So we need to step up the game so everybody can know what you're doing and get involved.
What I'm actually hearing you say is you don't follow us on our social media.
I do. I look, believe me, as I've gotten into politics, I follow a lot of people and look for a lot of people. But we've had so many different nonprofits on people. And I told people before they come on, they're like, I've never heard of them. And so while social media is good in our circle, there's still a lot of people out there who don't hear or don't see. And so one of the things that, as we were talking about this, we really wanted to do is make sure people knew how many different things in Leavenworth County there were to support them in some avenue. We had the guidance center on, and they were talking about, all the things that they do. They have a person that goes out with the police now,
right?
And talked about, how we reduce the number of people being arrested because you've got somebody there that can help them. We've had Elaine Bellardo on with the Deeper Window. People had no idea we've had support for people going through, different types of Alzheimer's. We had Connie Harmon with the Council on Aging. So we're trying to get those people on here to get some visibility. And while our audience is somewhat limited, I mean, it is growing because this is the only place I've ever been, and I'm an Army brat as well,
right?
Where there is so many people out there that just want to do good for our community.
Absolutely.
And they've taken up the banner for whatever they feel important, feel is important. And I want to try to highlight that. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for helping our kids feel included and providing, just this incredible service.
I appreciate you. And thank you so much for bringing me on.
All right. That's our show for this week. Please, if you like our content, like and subscribe, follow us, watch the videos. We are trying to bring more content and trying to bring more information out to everybody. Have a great week.